Mamata government and Kolkata Police were panned left and right as the Supreme Court resumed hearing in the horrific rape and murder of a practicing doctor at the RJK Hospital in Kolkata. The Central Bureau of Investigation, which has been probing the crime for over a week now, informed the top court that the crime scene was tampered with. The Central Probe Agency also claimed that the FIR was lodged only after the victim was cremated and that there is an attempt to cover up the crime. The three-judge bench headed by CJI expressed its dissatisfaction over how the Bengal government conducted the entire case. The apex court has also pulled up the Kolkata Police and directed the officer who registered the first entry about the rape murder incident to appear at the next hearing to disclose the time. Listen in.
This is something which even the criminal procedure code doesn't prescribe.
Yes, exactly.
The entire procedure which has been followed by your police, police of the state, it is something which at least I have not come across in 30 years of my...
I know. Right. I appreciate it. But Manoj, the facts must be before your lordship's mind. That's the important thing. The real fact.
The first thing we want to confirm is it true that the UD case was registered at 23:30 hours and that the post-mortem and everything preceded the registration of the UD?
No, Manoj.
Amid all of this, the court also questioned why was Sandeep Ghosh appointed principal of another college immediately after he resigned from his post at the RJK Medical College. The court also took strong objection to the reference of 150 grams of fluid found from the victim's body, with the CJI saying that they have the post-mortem report and it is clear what the figure referred to. In short, debunking the theory going on social media that it was a case of gang rape.
Lordship, the PMR talks about 151 mg of semen. It is never in mg.
No, it is
in ml.
It is the
It is in...
So please, come on. This is the problem that...
We are the very incipient stage, but don't confuse this. Don't use social media to make arguments in the court.
I'm grateful, Manoj, for that. I'm grateful.
We have specifically now the PMR before us, and we know what that 151 refers to.
Yes.
Let's not use what we read on social media and then make legal arguments on that basis.
Address the ongoing doctors' agitation over the matter, the country's top court directed health professionals to return to work and asked the state governments to not penalize them and ensure their safety. And the top court's clarion call has been heard by the protesters. Doctors of AIIMS, Delhi, RML, FIMA and FODA have called off their strike.
Let them first come back to work, and then if there's any difficulty, just talk to us in the court here. We'll ensure that there is no adverse action against the doctors.
Very well.
We quite see that they were all upset about the fact that there was a very serious incident which took place. That directors of these institutions,
He made a
they
statement.
also have their heart with the doctors, but they are in a situation where poor people who come to those institutions cannot be left behind in the lurch.
Doctors spoke to my colleague Kritika. These are AIIMS doctors. Listen in.
After the Supreme Court's appeal today to the resident doctors must resume their duties, as well as directing the Secretary of the Union Health Ministry to engage with the Secretaries of States and the DGPs of State in order to ensure interim safety measures till the time the National Task Force comes out with their protocol for ensuring medics' safety. Resident Association of AIIMS said that they will be cancelling their strike. Now we are joined by representatives of the Resident Association of AIIMS who will be taking us through how the strike has progressed over the days and what their further demands are. So we've seen that the Supreme Court has made observations today. They have directed for some interim measurements. How did your decision to call off the strike today come about?
So as you know, we started the strike with a major demand. Number one was justice for the victim, and the second was a centralized protection act from the central government which can ensure that such a heinous crime does not happen in the hospital premise once again. We have been highly successful with the case being transferred to the CBI initially, and Now the Supreme Court, which is the highest court of justice, has taken a suo motu cognizance of the matter, and they have delivered excellent verdicts in the last two hearings.
Right. Ma'am, I also wanted to understand that over the last 10 days, the last 11 days, while you had been during the strike, have you noticed any security measure enhancements that have happened in the establishment via the officials or by anything that has been communicated through the ministry?
So in the first few days of the strike last week, a central committee was formed. Along with this, there's a form circulated on all the groups which is accessible to everybody who's working in AIIMS, where they themselves can put in whatever problems they faced, any suggestions that they think can be taken, and that form, all the answers received from that form have been collated, and this has also been put forth in front of the committee. So yes, steps are being taken to at least identify the gaps, and things were discussed on how to address all these gaps.
The probe against former principal of RG Sandeep Ghosh has been intensified by the CBI. After questioning him for 7 straight days, the Central Probe Agency has gotten permission to conduct a lie detector test on him. As the probe continues, politics continues to spill over the RG horror, with the BJP staging a massive protest in Kolkata today, demanding Mamata Banerjee to resign as the Bengal CM. Several leaders of the Saffron Party, including Shuvendu Adhikari and Agnimitra Paul, were detained after BJP workers clashed with the cops during the agitation.
Protests have only intensified. You can see they have already breached the barricade around a kilometer back, and now the senior leaders of the BJP are walking down towards Shastro Bhavan. Senior leader Agnimitra Paul is now leading this. Shuvendu Adhikari is also. Agnimitra, today you have stopped and you have breached the barricade. Are you intending to reach the Health Secretary?
Yes, absolutely. We don't want to reach Health Secretary. We want to reach Shastro Bhavan, the health bhavan of the state government. We don't have anything to tell the Health Secretary or the Health Minister. Health Minister has to resign. That is our only demand.
What would you like to say after the observations of the strong observations of the Supreme Court that was made?
The truth is out. Satyameva Jayate. We always stand by the truth. And we always have been saying that under Mamata Banerjee's leadership, is being stopped by getting justice. You know, at one point, Mamata Banerjee is saying that I want, phansi for the culprits. And on the other hand, she is engaging almost 30 senior advocates, including Kapil Sibbal, and paying them 15 lakhs from our taxpayers' money so that Abhaya doesn't get justice.
Well, the message is loud and clear that they want justice. They have breached the barricade, and now we are crossing the central park of Salt Lake. The police's bandobast was also there, but somehow the supporters have outnumbered police that were deployed here, and finally they are moving towards the Health Secretariat, and they say that under any circumstances whatsoever they want to go to the Health Secretariat and meet the Health Secretary. Thousands of numbers, the BJP supporters have come out in protest, and it seems like that the deployment of the police force were too small, and the supporters of the BJP was huge.
On the other hand, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has now written to Prime Minister Modi seeking tougher laws in cases of rape and faster trial. Day after the Supreme Court appealed to the protesting doctors to return to work and asked state governments to not penalize them and ensure their safety, healthcare workers have heeded to the top court's clarion call. After 11 days of relentless protests, doctors of AIIMS Delhi, Safdarjung and Ram Lohia Hospital have called off the strike. Doctors under the banner of AIIMS and FODA have also called off the strike. AIIMS has further clarified that it is not a termination but rather a suspension of strike, and that they will further monitor the situation.
So, we've seen that the Supreme Court has made observations today. They have directed for some interim measurements. How did your decision to call off the strike today come about?
So as you know, we started the strike with a major demand. Number one was justice for the victim, and the second was a centralized protection act from the central government which can ensure that a heinous crime does not happen in the hospital premise once again. We have been highly successful with the case being transferred to the CBI. initially, and right now the Supreme Court, which is the highest court of justice, has taken a suo motu cognizance of the matter, and they have delivered excellent verdicts in the last two hearings.
While you had been during the strike, have you noticed any security measure enhancements that have happened in the establishment via the officials or by anything that has been communicated through the ministry?
So in the first few days of the strike, that's last week, a central committee was formed which included MBBS students, interns, residents, senior residents, as well as administration. And multiple meetings, I think 2 meetings have already been conducted that have been very extensive, where everyone has put forth their points. Along with this, there's a form been circulated on all the groups which is accessible to everybody who's working in AIIMS, where they themselves can put in whatever problems they faced, any suggestions that they think can be taken, and that form, all the answers received from that form have been collated, and this has also been put forth in front of the committee. So yes, steps are being taken to at least identify the gaps, and things were discussed on how to address all these gaps.
So how do we see the issue progress further? We know that the matter is sub judice. We also know that the investigations are coming out. What do you make of this?
So yeah, since the beginning of the strike, the concern was always about the sufferance by the patients where this strike is gonna affect upon. But that was not our motto in the first place. All we wanted is the justice and the protection of the doctors who are working in the working environment.
What are your expectations beyond AIIMS for security to be enhanced? There are interim safety protocols that the doctors have called for. What do you visualize them to?
There are 2 things. One is prevention of the crime, for which Supreme Court has directed to form the National Task Force. But obviously any committee takes its own time to give the reports and the security measures be in place. So I am considering that the court has, the Honorable CGI has told them to give an interim report within 3 weeks and the final report within 2 months. So with that we can have a real-time data on how bad the security measures are all over the India.
Remember, doctors across the country launched a massive stir, halting all non-emergency services, including OPD services and non-elective surgeries, in the aftermath of the brutal assault and murder of a doctor in Kolkata's AIIMS hospital. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has penned a letter to Prime Minister Modi in the wake of the brutal rape and murder. In fact, remember, there were massive protests that followed demanding safety and justice for women. Banerjee, who's already under fire for a lackadaisical approach in the case, has urged the Prime Minister to strengthen laws regarding rape. In her letter, the TMC Supremo sought maximum punishment for such dastardly crimes and demanded fast-track special courts for trials which should be completed within 15 days. Meanwhile, BJP leader Amit Murga slammed the West Bengal CM's letter, asking her to first put her house in order. He also raked up the horrors in Sandesh Khali and Chopra, terming West Bengal the most unsafe place for women.